Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Chair White, we are waiting for one more member of AFS, and then we can begin.
Thank you so much. Pat, can you still Pat, can you still hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we are still awaiting quorum, correct?
We are, however, everything on the agenda is for information today, except for the minutes, and those can always be carried forward to the next AFS meeting. So if we want to, we can proceed if you're ready, or if we want to wait about 2 more minutes to see if anyone else joins.
Another minute or so. That's fine. Thank you.
Can call-in user number 1 please verify themselves?
Me, Councilwoman Pastor.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Chair, we can proceed. There are 3 members of the AFS online now.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 12:04 p.m. Welcome everyone to our Audit and Finance Subcommittee meeting Thursday, April 3rd. We'll move to we'll move to roll call. Thank you so much, Pat.
Good afternoon, AFS members. City of Avondale Councilmember Max White.
Present.
Town of Fountain Hills Councilmember Peggy McMahon.
Present.
City of Phoenix Councilmember Laura Pastor.
Present.
City of Tempe Councilmember Jennifer Adams. And City of Tolleson Vice Mayor Jimmy Davis. Chair, we are ready to proceed.
Thank you. We'll move to item number 1, public comment. The public will be provided with an opportunity at this time to address the committee on non-agenda items and all action agenda items. Up to 3 minutes will be provided per speaker unless the chair allows more at her discretion. A total of 15 minutes for speakers will be provided during this meeting. Pat, do we have any public comment or comments that you have received?
No, ma'am.
Thank you very much. We will close public comment, moving straight to item number 2, Chief Financial Officer's update. Mr. Ken Kessler, our CFO, will go ahead and share an update and give us some current issues to take a look at.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today I'd like to share our PTF revenues update. Being that today is the 3rd day of April, we're likely to probably see the March revenues come in early next week. So we've got the PTF revenues through February at this point. So for the fiscal year, we are up a little under 2%, about 1.7% compared to prior fiscal year. And compared to budget, we're about 1.4% below the budget. So still trending slightly below budget at this point. That's all I have since we have a fairly extensive budget review today. That's all I have. Take any questions.
They're in there.
Any questions from committee members? I believe we have call-in user number 2 has joined us as well, Pat.
Yes, could you please identify yourself, call-in user 2?
Councilmember Jennifer Adams.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to item number 3, this item is an action item. Our minutes from March 6 Audit and Finance Subcommittee are presented for approval. We'll take just a brief moment for review, and I'll entertain a motion to approve our March 6 minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion on the floor from Councilmember Peggy McMahon, Fountain Hills. We're looking for a second. I believe I can second that motion.
Yes, ma'am, you can.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposition? Nay. The motion carries. Our minutes have been moved. We're moving to item number 4. This is FY 2026 operating and capital budget information for Valley Metro RPTA and Valley Metro Rail. I will turn this over to Mr. Kessler, our CFO, who's going to provide us with a presentation on both our PTA and VMR. Mr. Kessler?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Yes, today I'm presenting the details of the proposed FY26 operating and capital budget. Just want to note that we have reviewed these details with city staff last month at the Regional Transit Advisory Group and Financial Working Group meeting. We got a fair amount of feedback. We've incorporated that feedback in terms of some of the suggestions for revising the write-ups in the packet. So we've incorporated that. And we look forward to your feedback today, as well as feedback we received yesterday from TMC, RMC, as we move forward with the budget process. We will, any feedback we've received yesterday, as well as anything today, we'll move to try to incorporate that before the financial working group and RTAG meeting on April 15th, and as well as incorporating as much of those changes as we can into the board meeting on April 17th. So just a few things of note. The RPTA FY26 operating budget is 27.9 million, about a $500,000 increase over prior year, which represents less than a 0.2% increase. And on the VMR budget, the request is 118.9 million, which is about a 21 million increase, about 21% over prior year, mostly due to the full year of South Central operations, as well as increases in contract rates for rail ops and security, and some proposed new safety and security positions, as well as utilities and insurance. One thing in particular note that started when we had this detailed discussion with the city staff members at RTAG and Financial Working Group, we do have 21 positions requested, new positions requested in this budget. And so that got some particular attention. And so we're taking a look at that. And for those that we hope to advance, we'll provide the details to city staff and Financial Working Group on that April 15th meeting. We'll be showing the cost allocation by agency for each position, as well as the funding source for each position. And then also we'll more clearly identify those position requests that are really associated with insourcing current work that is being conducted currently under contracted services. One thing of note on the RPTA side is important that of the new positions requested, none of those on the RPTA side would be supported by member city contributions. All of those positions are such that they would be supported by either public transportation funds or capital funds. And then on VMR, there's a number of positions some of the new positions would be partially funded by the capital budget, but a majority would be supported by Rail City contributions as they're part of the operating budget. And just as a reminder, PTF funds can't be used for rail operations. It's mostly funded by member city contributions. So just wanted to provide sort of that just a little introduction to the budget before we get into the actual details. So from there, I'll go ahead and move into the actual presentation. First, starting with RPTA, just do want to note that the budget is built around our strategic plan. So here we display our strategic framework, and each of these initiatives is tied to a strategic plan goal. The details, just want to remind folks, the details of these initiatives are in your packet. They're initiatives 1 through 17. 1 through 12 are new initiatives, and 13 through 17 are basically those kind of ongoing commitments and obligations types of items. And we'll get to the details of that. Just did want to point that out because there is good detail in those write-ups for your review, as well as a breakdown of some of the details of the costs. So in speaking of those initiative sheets, I just wanted to run quickly through kind of how they're laid out. So here's a sample of one of the initiatives in the upper left here. We show the initiative number, so you can refer to that from between what's in the presentation slides today, as well as the cross-reference to the actual detailed initiative document itself in the packet. And then we show the strategic plan goal that it's related to in the middle of the header. And then as well, we identify whether it's a combined agency initiative or if it's Valley Metro Rail specific or RPTA specific. And just do want to point out for those that are combined agency efforts, we do have the breakout of the costs between the agencies in those detailed initiatives in the table below the narrative write-up. And then we also have the category of initiatives. So as I mentioned, 1 through 12 are new initiatives, or what we call Valley Metro recommended initiatives. And then 13 through 17 are ongoing obligations or continuing commitments. And we identify those in the header as such so that you can see that as you read through the materials. And then here, just a reminder of the cost down at the bottom here in the table, the breakout by agency when we have an initiative that crosses both agencies. Many of the initiatives do cross both agencies, and so you'll see a breakout. Some of the costs will be on the RPTA side, some will be on the Valley Metro Rail side, but there are some initiatives that are specific to RPTA and some specific just to Valley Metro Rail. So from there, I will move on to how the budget is built. So basically, starting at the top here, we start with our base budget, which is essentially the current year budget. And then we do a review with the budget team along with our divisions to see where there might be some opportunities for savings. Maybe there's been some underruns in the past, some items that may be one-time in nature in the current fiscal year that won't carry forward to next year. So we look to reduce that base budget from the current year into the starting point for the new year budget as we build on that. And then from there, we add in the obligations. Those are those inflationary items or ridership impact type items, as well as any continuing commitments, those contracts that go maybe for multiple years, from year to year. We see those contracts typically have rate increases year over year, either tied to inflation or some other metric. And then lastly, we add in the Valley Metro recommendations or new initiatives. These are items recommended by Valley Metro staff to be implemented in the new fiscal year budget. And all of those three combined comprise our total budget. And then looking at that in the actual numbers for FY26 proposed budget, you can see on the RPTA side, the base budget is down about $14.7 million. About $11 million of that is the reduction of Phoenix operated service funded by PTF. The other $3 to $4 million or so are actual items that we took out of the budget, either one-time items or areas where we saw underruns that we were able to kind of pull back on the budget need there. And then from there, we add in those obligations items totaling about $12.6 million. And then the Valley Metro recommended initiatives of $2.7 million, which totals a $279.5 million budget. And just for some context of the increased items, the obligations plus the Valley Metro recommended, we show here that the Valley Metro recommended items make up about 18% of those additional items going into the new budget, and 82% is the ongoing obligations. And then looking at the budget in total, we see here that the Valley Metro recommendations of the total overall budget is about 1%, and the rest of the budget is 99%. So just a little context as far as how the numbers fit together. Now moving on to the use of funds for the operating budget by program here, you can see the $279.5 million budget proposed with fixed route operations and demand services being the two biggest programs. And then the sources that fund the operating budget, public transportation funds, member city contributions, federal funds and fares being the primary funding sources that support our operating program. So now I'd like to move into the recommended initiatives, go through some of this detail. So first, and just for some orientation, we are going through these in strategic plan goal order. So basically on that strategic framework visual, we're working kind of from the top down. So the first strat plan goal we have here is deliver excellent customer service. We have one initiative here. This initiative, as you can see in the detail right up in the packet, is comprised of 3 items. First of all, there's 2 additional new customer service experience coordinators. There's a passenger information systems supervisor position to really help our efforts with wayfinding and signage system. And this is really mostly insourcing current work that's done through contract. And then third in this initiative is a marketing effort to really leverage our new fare collection system. So this is an effort that we would roll out to leverage the fare programs, the new fare technology we have to enhance and grow our ridership. Okay, the next goal that we have initiatives for, invest in our talent. A couple items here. Number 2 here, initiative 2, agency staff compensation. That's comprised of an overall general 3.5% merit for staff across the agency. That's basically an overall average for the merits across the agency. And then the other part of this is the implementation of the classification and compensation study we're working towards wrapping that up. And right now we wanted to budget for what we expect some of that impact to be going forward as we make some adjustments as a result of the class and comp study. And then initiative number 3 is 4 additional HR positions. A couple of these are really kind of insourcing work that we contract out. And it's really to help with the growing agency. The agency has grown significantly over the years. The HR department really has not grown in conjunction with that. So we just wanted to make sure that we have the HR support for the overall agency as we continue to grow into the future. So next, prioritize security on transit. This initiative here, safety and security management. This is a couple of deputy chiefs, deputy chief over safety and a deputy chief over security in the safety and security division. And this really will allow a more focused management effort on each of those programs specifically. Right now, Adrian, as the head of the division, really is kind of split and doesn't have the bandwidth to put the management level focus that's needed on each of those programs. So this will really augment the leadership and management of those 2 programs. And next, strategic plan goal, leverage data and technology, a couple initiatives here. Number 5, this would be a service planner, additional service planner position. This would, for the most part, be insourcing some service planning that we contract out. And this would really allow for a more proactive approach to service planning as opposed to just reacting to member cities' requests for looking at different potential service adjustments. It'd be more of a proactive approach as we've grown our data tools and what we have at our hands available to us to use to look into this. This position would really have the ability and the bandwidth to dive into that data, to be proactive in looking at service adjustments going forward. And then initiative number 6, pretty straightforward. It's just the replacement of hardware and software that have reached end of useful life. So the next strategic plan goal, deliver on stakeholder collaboration, a couple initiatives here. Internal communications enhancement. What this includes is a specialist of internal communications, and this would really enhance internal communications with both employees and contractors, and specifically those contractors who are our frontline staff, those folks that are out there, they're seeing what our customers are experiencing, they're living that every day. And this would allow us to better have that direct communication with frontline staff, so we can act accordingly based on what we're hearing, and also for us to communicate with them so that they're getting the message directly from Valley Metro. And sometimes if it's filtered down through multiple layers, the message doesn't always get clearly out to those frontline folks. And then number 8, a supervisor of community engagement is a new position there for capital planning. This is another one of those positions that's really insourcing what we're doing today with contracted personnel, and it's really to bring that in house to help continue the institutional and historical knowledge that's gained through these projects, instead of it being a consultant who walks away at the end of a project and we lose that. So that's the focus there. And that just do want to mention that position is mostly capital. And remiss, I should have mentioned this earlier. Just wanted to point out these dollar amounts you're seeing on these slides represent the RPTA share only, since we're in the RPTA budget. So you'll see in the initiative write-ups, those cost tables at the bottom do show the breakout. And then when we get to the VMR presentation, you'll see the VMR share of these initiatives that are combined initiatives as well. So I just wanted to point that out. As we get into our final strategic plan goal, financial sustainability, a couple initiatives here. Financial planning and analysis enhancement is comprised of new financial forecasting software. We have for years been doing all of our financial planning and tracking of the transit lifecycle program in Excel and an Access database. Very antiquated systems. We've built a new long-range Excel model for our total program combined. But we have a procurement on the street for forecasting software that would streamline our efforts for doing that long-range forecasting. We've typically looked at like 5-year horizons. As you see each year in the budget, we put a 5-year forecast out there. And we wanted to create a tool so we could look out, say, 20, 30 years and make sure that our program remains fiscally balanced throughout the long-term perspective. Also, as part of this financial planning and analysis effort, includes a management analyst position. Today, we have one position that manages the TLCP and all of our financial forecasting, and that area is really at risk for us. So we feel strongly that a second position to support those efforts as we move from Prop 400 to Prop 479 on the transit lifecycle program side of things, as well as just the general long-term forecasting. And again, as we kind of embark on doing new long-term forecasting we haven't typically done as an agency for the overall program, it's important that we have the resources to be able to manage that for us. Yes. So one last item on the initiative for the financial sustainability is a new grants coordinator position. And this would really create a position that to a certain extent we've over time kind of either piecemealed out to staff as they've had available time, or we've engaged with some of our consultants to do some of this work, and it really hasn't been a well-coordinated effort. So this is a position that would reside within our government relations department and really work across the agency as well with our member cities and other partners in grant seeking efforts, as well as coordinating when we decide to seek a grant, coordinating those efforts and putting grant applications together. Again, as I mentioned, this is something that's largely been done either by engaging consultants or just trying to find staff, a planner or two that may have some time to kind of put this together. And it's really been more reactionary. And this will also enhance our abilities to be more proactive, looking to find grants instead of just notices of funding opportunities coming out and we go, okay, here's another NOFO, let's react to it like we have. So this also takes us beyond just looking for those U.S. Department of Transportation grants, but allows us to really dig deeper across other agencies and other opportunities for seeking grant funds. So that is the new initiatives, and I'll pause there and see if there are any questions on new initiatives. And Madam Chair, if you're speaking, we don't hear you.
No, I don't have any questions at this point. I have a few later on. I don't see any questions from our committee members online either. I know we did have, I think the verbiage was used earlier as we were talking about positions in regards to what does sourcing mean? Is that where we're getting the candidates from, or how we're sourcing our hires versus contracting versus internal?
Yeah, so by insourcing, what we mean is really adding an FTE and hiring somebody to do that job as opposed to relying on a consultant or a contractor to perform that work. Because as you know, with consultants and contractors, not only do we potentially lose that sort of the historical institutional knowledge if they move on after the end of a project, but also, you look at markup and additional costs when you're paying for, an outside consultant to do work. And so we're going to continue to evaluate ongoing, looking at work that's being done to really look at where it makes sense to bring work in-house, if it's work that's going to continue sort of in perpetuity and, save some money. Plus, not only that, but also, develop that ongoing historical and institutional knowledge within the agency, as opposed to it being a contractor or consultant that kind of walked away with that knowledge at the end of a project.
Thank you for that clarification and that value add. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Okay, so now we'll move on and we'll go through the RPTA obligations. Just want to point out here in terms of continuing commitments, $7.4 million, 5.1 under inflationary items for a total of $12.5 million there on those ongoing obligations. A number of items like contract rate increases and projected fuel increases, really driving a lot of those obligation type of increases. Any questions on the obligations? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and move on to the capital program.
We do have a question. Sorry, Mr. Kessler. Go ahead, Councilmember Adams.
Sorry, a little slow to the party here. Some of our top concerns are the member city contributions have increased 5% for RPTA, and there's 21 new FTEs proposed between RPTA and VMR. And streetcar total increases are 10%, and streetcar security increases are over 40%. So that's some of our concerns that we have in regarding Tempe's budget.
Yes, thank you for that comment. And we've been having ongoing conversations with city staff on these issues and look to continue those. And as we mentioned, any feedback on adjustments going forward in terms of looking where we could sharpen our pencil on the budget as we move towards adoption, we'll certainly look to incorporate those.
Do you have a timeline for those changes?
We plan to discuss that with the financial working group on the April 15th meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly. Okay, so.
Any additional questions? None? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kessler. You can go ahead.
All right, so then moving on to our capital program. RPTA uses of capital, $66.3 million. The largest items in this program is the regional fleet as well as debt service. And do want to point out this debt service will go away after this final payment in FY26. We had debt that was, we pledged the Prop 400 sales tax to service that. So the debt amortization ends in FY26, and this will come off the books. And then on the sources that support the capital program, public transportation funds and federal funds being the primary sources there. And then just quickly, pass-through funds, as you know, RPTA passes through mostly through to Valley Metro Rail, as well as some Arizona Lottery funds that go to member cities for various transit services and projects. And then here are those sources that fund that, $145.8 million forecasted for FY26. Now I'll move on to the 5-year forecast for RPTA. Starting with the operating program, we've got about a $1.8 billion 5-year program. On the operating side, largely funded by public transportation funds and member city contributions. And then on the use side, the primary largest programs there being fixed route operations, demand services, as obviously as those are main services we provide. And then taking a look at the 5-year capital program, again on the sources side, public transportation funds and federal funds being the primary sources that support our capital program. And then on the use side, regional fleet continues to be one of the largest program. And then some rail program disbursements. As you can see in some of the early years, there's still some Prop 400 monies that will be passed through from RPTA to VMR for the capital extension project. And then some of the Prop 479 state of good repair funds coming in at much smaller numbers going forward from there. So this is just a recap of the budget development and adoption dates. I'm targeting May for adoption of the FY26 budget. So that concludes the RPTA presentation, and I'm happy to take any further questions on RPTA.
I appreciate the review. I think some of my questions are kind of in the supplements on the next few pages as we go forward. Will we be going in detail over the next the line items that you went over for FTE?
As far as the presentation goes, when those detailed write-ups are not part of that, they're in the packet for information, but certainly welcome to discuss any of those and answer any questions you might have.
Okay. I'll go back to this one would be on our additional supplement, but it was presented earlier for the HR expansion. I think it's super important to expand HR, especially since the agency has gotten bigger. That's going to total about $496,000. I guess I'm just concerned because that's a total of 4 positions. Three of them staff, one of them is a support person. Um, Maybe pause to defer the staff support specialist role um, to get the talent in, because we definitely do need some more HR. But I'm not sure. We want to invest in our talent, so we do want to get the professionals in. As we invest in our talent, we probably want to be able to make sure we get them in place, and then we'll have a need to be able to justify a staff support person. I think that might be a better way to take a look at that. Also taking a look at the service planner position. That only shows the 76,000 from RPTA. But as we take a look at that here, when we leverage data and technology, we give a chance for the current planner to give us some feedback and postpone or maybe shift that role a little bit later on, and really lean in heavier on the data and technology we have at this moment. Because I just think the way that the economic environment is going, we want to use resources in place, and that's why we want to leverage that data and tech. The internal communications enhancement, that's only coming at RPTA with about 54,000. There is a VMR piece of that as well. But I think as we look at improving internal communication, um, this might be a space where we can defer as well, and try and drive the excellent customer experience by improving how we deliver it now. Because sometimes we throw more people at something that doesn't really make the change that we want to see. We might have to shift how we're doing things, and then substantiate to me in the future how we can expand that role. Just a couple more things here I was looking at. The supervisor for community engagement. Um, Maybe this is a function that can stay a contract function temporarily, and pause. Um, because I think we might have an opportunity to maintain the same level of engagement and have some flexibility here. And we have to also acknowledge that, different members' contributions for, it's going to change, and PTF funding changes as well. So we just want to be mindful. And then I guess finally, I would delay the financial planning and analyst enhancement. Again, just taking a look at the financial environment we're walking into. Right now, things are uncertain, and looking at the financial analyst position and contract performance position, I know bringing things in-house is super important. But I think if we're going to have an investment into software, we probably want to demonstrate some fiscal responsibility, making sure all of our existing FTE can manage and use that software instead of bringing in software and a person at the same time. I don't know if those recommendations land or are received, but just taking a look at it from my member city's perspective, those are things I wanted to make sure I had the opportunity to share. And also now opening up the floor for any other commentary. Any other questions, concerns, comments from our committee members?
Yes, this is Councilmember Adams. Max, I totally agree with what you're saying. So I just want to concur with your statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. I know we still have Councilmember McMahon on the line. Any concerns, Councilmember McMahon?
Thank you. I appreciate your comments and I also share them. And I I think that it's smart to like wait on the planning enhancement due to the new software, et cetera. So yes, I agree. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler, for pausing for comments and questions. We can move forward.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback. Okay, so now we will move on to the proposed Valley Metro FY26 budget. And no need to go through the same slides. We looked at on the RPTA budget and the buildup of the budget. Do want to start here with the numbers, the breakdown of the budget buildup. So base budget for VMR, we were able to reduce that by $1.4 million over the current year budget, with ongoing obligations of $18.3 million and Valley Metro recommended initiatives of $4.1 million, arriving at a $118.9 million budget, 21 million, about 21% over prior year. Again, largely driven by the items of South Central utilities, et cetera, that I mentioned at the outset. Here, just a breakdown of the those obligations and Valley Metro recommended initiatives. 82% of that total are those ongoing obligations. 18% represents the Valley Metro recommended items. And then looking at the total budget, the Valley Metro recommended items comprise about 3% of the total proposed budget. So now moving on to the operating budget use of funds by program, $107.1 million for light rail, streetcar at about $8.1 million, and agency operating at $3.7 million. And then for the sources that support the operating budget, again, member city contributions and fares being the primary sources supporting operations. Okay, so moving into the recommendations, there's several of these initiatives that were also RPTA, so I'll just move through those quickly and just kind of mention that these numbers here, this is the Valley Metro Rail share of those initiatives. So this one here on the passenger engagement and education, same item we talked about previously, just the Valley Metro Rail share of the cost. Similarly here for invest in talent, the Valley Metro Rail share of the cost of this item, about $1.9 million. And then for prioritized security on transit, the VMR share of the deputies of safety and security, about $312,000. Oh, jump pretty quick. There we go. This one here, number 7 and 8 are initiatives that were on RPTA as well. So this is the VMR share here on this slide. Number 9 is VMR only. It's a capital development project manager. And this is really, again, mostly insourcing consultant work that's currently being done through contracts. And it's 0 here because this position would be 100% dedicated to the capital program. And really this position would be doing things like planning and coordinating all the efforts for our state of good repair and improvement projects. So this would be a position not related to new extension projects or those types of things, but really to address the system needs as it ages and coordinate all the activities to maintain our state of good repair or transit asset management program. And then the next item here, under operational excellence, rail maintenance program enhancements. This is a Valley Metro Rail item only. So this is comprised of a few different items within this initiative. First, there's a ART maintenance budget increase of $50,000. As we're all aware, as the light rail system ages, not only do the systems age and need repair, but all the ART that's been out there for many, many years, as well as the fact that we've extended and grown the system. So there's now more ART to maintain. So it takes more resources to maintain that ART in a state of good repair. And then additionally, we have a new additional pressure washer position and the necessary equipment to go with that position. This is largely due to system expansion with the addition of the South Central extension. We have a need for some additional pressure washing, and then as well as also this position will allow us a little broader coverage throughout the day as well. And then the third item here is a traction power team. So this would comprise of a manager and 3 supervisors dedicated to traction power. Today, we do not have such positions dedicated. We have a supervisor, 1 supervisor on the team at our maintenance of way that does have traction power, the traction power expertise needed. So this is really to bring this part of our maintenance team up to an industry best practice in terms of having folks who are subject matter experts in traction power managing and supervising the technicians that are out there. And then the last item, again, this is same initiatives we had on the RPTA side, and 157,000 just represents the Valley Metro Rail share of that cost. So that is all on the new initiatives. Happy to pause here and take any questions on VMR new initiatives.
Madam Chair, I have some comments.
Please proceed, Councilmember Adams.
Yes, it appears that the implementation date for several of these recommendations has shifted. Can you explain that?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Councilmember Adams, I'm not sure what you're referring to as far as implementation dates.
Oh, those are in my notes. Let's see. I can't, that's what was given to me, so I'm sorry, I can't explain that. Maybe, let me check my messages here.
Is that maybe a note about the implementation dates in the audits update?
Oh, I guess it's in the next presentation. So are we still on 5 or are we on 4 still?
We're on the budget still.
We're
Okay,
still on
okay,
the budget. Yes.
okay. I apologize. I'll withdraw my question until later. Thank you.
We switched over from RPTA to VMR. I think you're the only rail person still on. Just want to make sure there wasn't any other questions about the VMR piece for you. I presented all of my questions, concerns, and thoughts for RPTA. I don't have any additional questions. Mr. Kessler, I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. So move on. We'll go to the VMR obligations. Here's a summary of those obligations. For continuing commitments, about $16.6 million, about $1.6 million in inflationary and ridership type items, a total of $18.3 million. You see there again a number of items. Again, similarly to RPTA, we have some contract rate increases, the South Central operations for a full 12 months in here being a very large portion of this total also as well. Any questions on the obligations?
No questions, Mr. Kessler.
Okay, so we will move on to the capital program. So for the VMR capital program, uses of the funds in capital, future project development, the capital extension, and state of good repair efforts being the largest programs within our capital, about $114.5 million for FY26. And then those sources that support those activities in the capital program, again, federal funds and public transportation funds being the largest portion of that. And then moving on to the 5-year forecast for VMR. On the operating side, about a $637 million program over the next 5 years. Member city contributions and fares being the primary sources that support the operating program. And then obviously our various operations and maintenance of light rail and streetcar, and as well as ongoing security making up the uses. And then on the capital side, about $1 billion program over the next 5 years for Valley Metro Rail capital, federal funds, and member city contributions being the largest funding sources supporting that. And then over the next 5 years, the capital extension, Rio East Dobson extension projects being 2 of the more larger programs within the capital program. Any questions on capital or 5-year general.
I don't see any questions, Mr. Kessler. Thank you.
Okay, so again, here's the chart showing our timeline for the budget. And that's the end of my presentation on the budget, and happy to take any additional questions.
Very comprehensive budget, seeing that we're going to exceed $1 billion over the next 5 years for VMR, and for RPTA, $1.8 billion over the next 5 years. Want to make sure we're good stewards of this, and I appreciate you at the helm of this review. Councilmember McMahon, I see that you are on screen. Did you have any questions, comments?
Yes, I do, and hopefully I can formulate this question. I see in the budgets, there's a 3.5% merit performance increase. Is that across the board? Is that for everybody? Or is it really just, is it a merit increase? Is it something you do at that rate every single year? Because I'm just looking at the financial markets, et cetera, right now, and I'm wondering if that is a high increase or is it customary? Thank you.
Yeah, so Madam Chair, subcommittee members, yeah. So that 3.5%, not everybody's going to get 3.5%. That's overall average. And that really is, we indicated in the write-up, that reflects last year's overall average merit increase across the whole agency. So
Okay.
We just felt that budgeting at a similar level as we've experienced in the past made sense. So some folks may get 1%, some folks may get 4%. It'll vary, but that's just the overall average.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. I appreciate it.
Certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler. Any additional questions? I believe item number 4 is complete. Definitely, if you have any other questions or concerns, we can get back in front of Mr. Kessler before the 15th. That might be great, because I think that's the next meeting where we're presenting. And then our board meeting is on the 17th. So we want to make sure we get through the cycle and have any questions, concerns with any line items that we saw presented to us today. Get those back to him before we come back to our full board, so that we can get those answers and present it to our full board. With no other questions, thank you so much, Mr. Kessler. We'll move on to item number 5, internal audit. Larry Condrat, Audit Manager, will provide an update on the actions taken in internal audit, external reviews, and prior audit findings and recommendations. Larry, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Mr. Condrat. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. I'm here to present this month's internal audit update. Okay, for the 6 audits that are currently in progress, 5 of them are nearing completion right now. The operator fitness for duty audit pertaining paratransit, the draft audit report's been finalized and it's been distributed to Valley Metro divisions for review. The operator fitness for duty bus draft audit report and the Valley Metro employee mileage reimbursement process draft audit report are in the final review stages, and we're drafting the audit reports for rail operator fitness for duty, the IT change management audit, and then test work for the IT patch management audit is nearing completion. So we should be reporting several audits out at the next AFS meeting in May. The construction management contract, we had an entrance conference a couple of weeks ago, and we're coordinating with them to schedule on-site visits. The internal safety and security audits, we're currently conducting 3 of those. And the FTA triennial review, the FTA is tentatively scheduled on-site visits for late April, but nothing is finite yet. So are there any questions on the current audits.
Mr. Conrad, I think I might have been thinking when you said this or missed it. I know with the conflict of interest oversight audit, we have one in progress with an estimated completion date at 2/28, incorporating annual ethics, conflict of interest training for all employees. Was that status updated since this was printed? I might have an old version.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for that question. I was going to touch on that in the audit recommendations update, but we have not received an update on that particular recommendation. The other recommendation that was associated with that audit, legal and HR sent out the ethics policy for all of Valley Metro to review. And as far as I know, they're working on developing a training program that they're going to shoot out in the near future.
Okay, I will make sure I comply and get that back soon. Then I might be a part of why that audit is still outstanding. Thank you. Any
Madam
additional
Chair?
questions? Yes.
Yes, this is Councilmember Adams. It appears that the implementation date for several of these recommendations has shifted. Can you explain that, please?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Councilmember Adams, for that question. Regarding the bus operator certification and labor audit, there were 3 recommendations that were extended approximately a month and a half. That's partly due to internal audit is conducting a audit right now of the new bus providers. And we're waiting upon completion to see what we reviewed. And then internal audit's also working with the bus safety department, and we're working on modifying the monitoring process. And then they have on-site visits scheduled for the middle of April. So it's going to take probably a couple of weeks to go through the data that they're going to gather later in April. So that's why that particular audit, the 3 recommendations were pushed back. When it comes to the credit card and yes, particularly the credit card, 2 outstanding recommendations. We've had our chief administrative officer retired. And so there's been a change in the review process for the Valley Metro policies. And they're working on developing and revising the P card policy right now. And once that's complete, they'll meet with Valley Metro leadership.
What is our date for completion?
Yes, they're going to meet with Valley Metro leadership to address a recommendation. And then they're going to revise the P card policy, and then they're going to distribute it through Valley Metro for review and comments. And then it'll go through the approval process.
Yeah, and what is the approximate timeline for all of that?
Well, the credit card, it was moved back. One recommendation was moved back 30 days and the other one was a couple of weeks. So by the middle of May, hope to have everything finalized. But a lot of it's contingent on the review process. If there's a lot of comments or a lot of changes that have to be done. So we're anticipating the middle of May.
Okay, and the conflict of interest oversight audit, that's also overdue. There's no comments included in that update. Are there any updates to share on that?
Yes, HR and legal are in the process of developing a training program. And hopefully it's going to be, I'm not sure on the exact time frame of when the training will be completed. But they're in the process of working on developing a program or a training right now.
Okay, and the presentation lists 12 recommendations as in progress, but only 9 are included in the packet. Are there others?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. The presentation lists 12 recommendations as in progress, but only 9 are included in the packet. Are there others?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Councilmember Adams, for that question. There are 3 IT audit outstanding recommendations that are sensitive information. And so I don't include that in the packet. But if you want to reach out to me, I'd be happy to discuss with you.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you so much, Mr. Condrat. Any additional questions, Councilmember McMahon? Concerns?
No, thank you.
All righty. If there are any further details, please reach out to Mr. Condrat directly. The additional concerns are sensitive matters that we just don't want open to the public. However, thank you for your accurate reporting. Other than that, we'll close out item number 5, Mr. Condrat, and move to item 6. Intergovernmental agreements, contract change orders, amendments, and awards. This is for information only. If any of our committee members would like to get into details, we have that full information in our packet, but please have a time that you reach out to Valley Metro staff. You can ask Pat to be the conduit to have any additional questions or concerns directed to the appropriate staff people so that we can answer any of those questions offline. But this information is in our packet for information only today. Moving to item number 7, report on current events and suggested future agenda items. This is the opportunity for those committee members on the call to share any current events and suggested future agenda items they would like to see come before our AFS subcommittee.
I don't have any. Thank you for asking.
I don't either.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember McMahon, Councilmember Adams. Without any additional items here, our next meeting of the Audit and Finance Subcommittee is scheduled for Thursday, May 8th at noon. Otherwise, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you so much for your time and patience. Thank you to Valley Metro for staff. And I appreciate you all being available to take our questions and concerns. Have a terrific Thursday afternoon, and we will see you all for our board meeting later on this month.
Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank
Thank
you. Good job, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And just a heads up, I will be remote also for our board meeting. Take care.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you for
Thank
that
you.
information, Madam Chair.